Hey there, boys and girls. Welcome to this week's episode of Halloweekly. Nick and Trevor here with Assault on Precinct 13.
May I have your attention, please?
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
I don't know what to feel anymore.
Horror. Something even more terrible than you.
1976.
Another Nick hasn't seen.
Yeah, this was another one we checked off the Nick's mega movie must see before I die list. I'm still on the fence if I should put if before I die.
I was gonna say I missed the before I die part.
I say it mentally.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, if I die not seeing some of these movies, like that'd be a real bummer.
If you haven't seen Waking the Divine by the time you die, I think you'll be okay.
I've heard different. See, that's the thing. Is I've showed this list to a couple people, and everyone
Is that the one they pick out?
I think Jenny picked that one out. She was like, "Oh my god, like this is a great one." Because I think my phone, I was typing all these fast, and so I think I had it in there as like Walking Ned Divine. And she was like, "I think you mean Waking." I was like, "I definitely do." But like everyone I've showed the list to has like they gravitate towards different things.
There's a couple of them where they're like, "Nah, you're fine."
Yeah. And I'm like, it kind of resonated with me that I should see it. And then they're like, "Oh, but you gotta add this one." I'm like, "All right, I'll constantly adding to it."
You should see all new movies, whatever.
there are a couple new movies. Like I think this week we're gonna try to watch All Quiet on the Western Front.
Ooh.
I haven't seen that one.
No.
And it just won like a bunch of Oscars.
4? Yeah.
Yeah, and then
A bunch of BAFTAs. It won like all the BAFTAs as well.
it would.
It
Those
would.
Germans would
It
win a
would.
bunch of BAFTAs. That makes all the sense in the world.
It would.
But one, so we got to check off. Let me actually pull this list up. Assault on Precinct 13, directed by John Carpenter,
Yes.
1976. Guess the budget of this movie. Just ballpark.
$150,000.
Close, $100,000.
Holy shit.
Isn't that crazy? It feels like a real. I mean, that's $100,000 in 1976.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
That's kind of a wild. There it is. There's my movie list. So yeah, we got to check that off. We got Videodrome checked off. Hush, Rush,
Hush Rush.
Hush, Rush, Mush,
Yeah.
Tush, Amelie. Yeah, and I actually have this right next to Escape from New York. So
Yes.
when I was making the list, sometimes I'll think of like directors and like what movies they hadn't seen, and this was one of them.
Yeah, I think we were like, you were like, which one should I watch? Escape or Assault? I was like, well, you should probably start with Assault and then kind of like watch the progression.
Yeah, this was 1976, so this was before Halloween, where I think a lot of people's like, if you're gonna watch John Carpenter, you start with Halloween, and then then you kind of like navigate around.
Yeah.
What's cool about this one, I thought right off the the top was, it doesn't feel like a John Carpenter movie.
Really?
Does that make sense? Like it feels
Kinda.
like the least like a John Carpenter, and I don't even know how to really articulate what I mean by that.
Yeah, I don't know.
You know what I mean? It doesn't feel, and it might just be because it's not your straight up horror.
Yeah.
It's not vampires.
You
it's
lived
not
with
the
all the horror ones for so long.
Yeah, so when he does something that is a remake of a western,
Yeah, basically.
it feels a little different, but in a great way.
Yeah.
I was trying to think like how to compare it, and it's kind of like if I walk into an ice cream shop, I'm getting cookies and cream. Yeah. Every now and then I'm gonna get that butter pecan. And Assault on Precinct 13 felt like the butter pecan. Like, I love you. I will get you all the time. And what I do, I really enjoyed it.
I see you over there. I'll get you.
So you had seen this movie before?
Lots of
lots of times.
Yeah.
Do you remember the first time watching it?
No. I was probably disappointed because it took me a while to get into John Carpenter for sure.
Oh, really? What do you mean? Like what?
I'd watch some of his movies and be like, that was okay. I don't quite get it.
Okay.
But then like I'd come back to him a few years later and be like, oh shit, this is the master. And then I named like one of my kids' middle names is Carpenter, so it's kind of like
so he really found his footing.
Yeah, it's kind of like penance for like not liking him before that. But I don't know when I watched it, but I remember the whole buzz was about that opening with the girl at the ice cream.
That is
That's like the one is like, oh shit, that's this movie's real. This movie's not messing around at all.
So for those who haven't seen Assault
Yes.
on Precinct, let me give you. I love reading the Google reviews.
Okay.
So every now and then I go to start writing it down in my notebook. I'm like, just read it off your phone. What am I?
Yeah.
What am I like?
You don't need
I
to
don't
write
need to
it
get carpal tunnel for something that's already been typed up. Okay,
This
so
isn't the news report.
This it's like when LAPD kills several members of the South Central gang Street Thunder, the remaining members avenge themselves by way of a bloody war raged against the cops and citizens alike. Caught in the crossfire is Lieutenant Ethan Bishop, who's managing a skeleton crew at a local soon-to-be-closed police station precinct. As the gang members close in, Bishop forms an unlikely alliance with a group of prisoners in order to defend the station and the lives of everyone in it.
Yep.
If it sounds familiar,
Yeah.
it's because it's based off of Rio Bravo.
Rio Bravo.
And who was the director of that again? I just said his name.
Howard Hawks.
Howard Hawks, who also did The Thing from Another Planet, which John Carpenter went to go make The Thing. So lots of influence. And you sent me a really cool clip on Turner Classic Movies of him enjoying Robert. Is it Osborne?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know why I want to say Osmond sometimes.
I know,
but
yeah.
It's like Osborne, like Ozzy Osbourne. Talking about this, how Carpenter originally wanted to do westerns.
Yeah. He loves westerns. That's the thing.
I would have never guessed because like The Thing is like a gold in Halloween or like diamond S tier horror films. It's crazy to think that this is the guy who wanted to do westerns.
Yeah. Well, it's like the thing. Howard Hawks did the original Thing as well. So it's like Rio Bravo and The Thing are almost the same movies as well. It's like a group of people coming together to do something, and that's like his thing, Carpenter's thing. That was Howard Hawks' thing too.
Yeah, it was. I'm glad you brought up The Thing because once I watched that, I was thinking about The Thing. I was like, oh shit, this is the same idea of a band of dudes getting together to stop this outside force.
Yeah.
And it also kind of makes sense as to why Carpenter really loves video games because
Yeah.
there's a lot of defense style games where you have to hold the fort and not let the enemies come in. It's a very it lends itself to a very video game like idea.
Yeah, like it's always like about his main character is always like this guy who has the job to do, and that's usually it. It's like with his later movies, Ghosts of Mars and Vampires and stuff like that, they're all the same basic movies too. Just a group of guys doing something, a group of people doing this.
He said he phrased it really interesting with the Robert Osborne thing. It was like a romance between men.
Yeah.
Of them trying to just put everything aside to survive the night.
Yeah.
And it always lends itself. I think those style of movies, they always give you chills because it's so easy to put yourself in their shoes. You're like, oh, what would I do if a gang of members were coming after me and it was me and a ragtag bunch with
I'd be the guy under the blanket, like I'm pretending I'm just I'm comatose.
So this movie, it has the really shocking scene that we kind of talked about before with them shooting just icing a little girl.
Was it Kim Richards? Yeah.
In the beginning, yeah.
She's like a Disney actress.
Is she really?
Yeah, she was a Disney actress back in the day.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Grew up to be a Real Housewife.
Oh, well.
And then she's in the new Halloween movies.
Oh,
because she's the little girl in Halloween as well.
Gotcha. Well, she does not grow up in Assault on
She
Precinct 13. It was still kind of shocking for
It's
them
still
just to go up and blast, shoot a little kid.
Yeah, and the way it's just nonchalant.
Like broad daylight.
Yeah, he doesn't even look at her.
No, he just doesn't care.
He's like, hey, I want it twisted. It wasn't. It's not twist. It's not twister or twisted or whatever it was. She wanted.
Bam, and then it was all she wrote.
Yeah.
I really like the fact that John Carpenter scores pretty much everything.
Mm-hmm. He always says it's because budgetary.
Really?
He'll tell you he's like, well, I couldn't afford to hire anybody, so I just did it myself.
Oh, okay.
He always says that.
Well, yeah, I mean,
but it's that score is amazing.
I really like the score in this one. Anytime you give that guy some kind of synthy sound, I'm always game. And it's a pretty easy, memorable theme as well.
Yeah, his theme to Assault is one of my favorites for sure.
listening to that made me want to. I keep saying I want to get a record player and start collecting vinyls, but I swear to God, when I do, it's going to be the Incredible soundtrack, Bride of Frankenstein with the Waxman soundtrack, and then it's got to be a Carpenter of something. I don't know.
He's got an anthology out.
Oh,
where it has like all the themes basically you can listen to.
I think I've seen
it's pretty great.
Those
because Assault, I always look for Assault the full thing, but I can't find it. So it has the theme one, which is plenty.
Yeah, you got that'll give you.
I think it goes into in the Mouth of Madness and Escape and all that stuff.
Yeah,
Big Trouble.
Big Trouble's a good one.
Oh man,
Big Trouble's a great one. With this movie, it feels there's something about 70s like cinema that always just feels sweaty. I don't know how to describe it. Like over the past week when I went to the Cinematic Void, they showed the Warriors again. There's just all sweat. What is it about the 70s that everyone is just completely sweaty, or it feels mucky?
It always feels like it's filmed on the hottest day of the year.
Yes, yes, yeah.
Somehow, like they filmed 30 days straight, but they're all the hottest days.
Yeah, I don't understand. Like I watch 70s. Like two things about 70s cinema: always looks sweaty, and blood always looks like it hurts.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what it like. The colors of it. It's always a weird color red. It's not like today's modern. It's either too bright or like a little dull, and both of those always look painful.
Yeah, it looks like it's legit. It looks fake and real at the same time.
Yeah, I don't know how to describe, but like it always makes me kind of like wince.
Yeah.
The action in this movie is pretty damn good.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's his first movie. It's like his first legit movie. Like
this was the first.
Yeah, he did Dark Star, which is like a student film, and like I think they got money to like finish it, but like nothing came of it.
Okay.
Like I saw it like his first like legit movie.
So this was like the real deal. We have a budget. We're gonna.
But again, I think he was like a hired gun for it as well.
Oh really?
Like he's always wants to be like the director for hire type of. He always just wants to like be like a Howard Hawks.
Oh, he was really into that guy.
Because like those types of directors were just like studio guys, and you would just make 4 movies a year, and it didn't like it was always like you just shoot whatever they get put in front of you basically.
Oh,
so
this does not feel like one of those.
But it's one of those things where it's like somebody hired him, bam. Somebody hired him for Halloween, bam. Somebody hired him for. So he's just like that's how he I guess picks his stuff. He's just like, oh well.
So a lot like the cowboys in those films. He wants to be the gun for hire.
Yeah,
I mean, roll into town, grab the wanted poster. I'm on it.
Basically,
shoot him out and then leave.
Yeah.
Being that it was $100,000 action.
That's crazy.
Action film in the 70s.
Still.
The shootouts in the movie feel really heavy. Like there's not like there's some movies where the action feels really really light, and that the hero that you're watching isn't gonna get shot between the eyes, and this movie, it felt like every shot mattered.
Yeah.
and they even hint at it a couple times where like they'll have a run in with one of the gangs trying to get in through some window or something like that, and they're like, how many bullets you got? I got 8 shells. And there. Because
they only got like 3 at the end.
Yeah, and what I liked about that is like whenever they like count how many bullets they have, I'm always like, oh, I hope they make it. my brain's immediately like, oh, we gotta manage our shots.
That's right.
The one part that I love that felt a little silly, but I absolutely love is when there's this one room that the gang members are trying to climb in. There's like, and it has like.
There's only got the one room, so somehow.
there's one room with like 2 windows, and they keep trying to come in. And Napoleon in the film has some kind of rifle, and they just one by one, like they basically come in single file. They're like, "Hey, please kill me," and he just keeps piling by. And I was trying to think of like if I'm a gang member trying to like go in there, I'm on the other side. If I see like 12 bodies stacked. That's not like no. We're
outside the window. You're climbing up over them, basically.
Yeah, we got
because all of them just kept flying out, so they're just stacked right there.
Exactly. I was like, don't they see that like that window sucks? Like that's not a really good place to go into.
Well, I think they're supposed to be like zombie like type of. I think they're kind of like more zombies than or like kind of that type of mentality.
Okay.
So that's why it's more. They're all just like slow moving.
Oh, I never thought.
Because probably if they rushed it, they could obviously.
They could have overwhelmed them.
Yeah, they could have overwhelmed
quite easily. I really liked in this movie. I'm a sucker for anything that is like a one location movie, which this pretty much is. Once
Yeah.
you get there to the precinct and it's nighttime, like you're kind of there for the rest of the movie.
There's some driving around at first, but yeah, once you get there, that's it.
I love when a movie gives you like the lay of the land.
Mm-hmm.
Like I felt like I knew the layout of where we were at.
Yeah.
Someone just did a really interesting thread on Twitter about how Wes Craven used to do that because the new Scream movie came out and they were saying it's getting like good reviews. I think people are really liking it, but they were talking about how like Wes Craven in the first Scream, like you knew the lay of the land in certain locations, like one of the houses, you knew like what the upstairs was, the downstairs was. So when there was action going in there, you could visualize yourself in there. And I thought this movie, you know, a couple years before Scream,
Just a few.
I thought it really knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, I mean, those types of dudes know how to shoot a movie and like give you geography. And same with like Walter Hill with his movies. He just made a new one, and you could tell it's shot by somebody who knows what they're doing. You know what I mean? So it's like up against like other action movies who sometimes it's just you don't know where they're at,
and it's disorienting.
Yeah,
and it's hard to follow the action.
Yeah,
you know, and the action is
usually because it sucks.
Yeah,
a lot of times it's like, well, it's all shaky and jumpy and eddy because it just sucks.
And you know, it's funny having just saw The Warriors over the weekend. There's the problem with action if you're not shaking the camera and you know cutting every 12 frames is you do get away. You have a certain momentum that works in your favor for it, but you also the trade-off is the viewer doesn't really see what's happening.
Yeah.
The problem when you go slow is sometimes like the hits don't look like they hit as much. You know, people have to act like they're getting shot in the gut, and like it doesn't look as it looks very theatrical.
Yeah.
But I think the slower works better, in my opinion.
Yeah, because there's some of that stuff in The Warriors for sure.
Yeah, we're like
I love it. It's edited like it's such a good like Ed's action even back in the day was like it's fantastic. But some of the stuff is like kind of like like type of stuff.
Yeah,
which is like, well, that's
they hold their gut and they kind of slowly fall back, and it's a little cheesy, but I think for.
But then when he slows it down, some of those shots when he slows it down, it's like
yeah,
like when that chair hits with the lady.
Oh yeah,
but the chair hit is like so cool.
There's and I think those moments are
the fight in the bathroom is amazing.
The bathroom fight's great
with the roller skating group.
Oh my gosh! Oh, everyone was losing it.
Yeah,
at that scene in The Warriors.
I just rewatched it. I was like, yeah, and then that final shot where he tosses them through the bathroom. It's all slow motion.
Yeah,
and he just stands there like, yeah.
And you know what's funny? That scene in The Warriors where the guys on the rollerblade, the very Irish-looking crew, is going after the Warriors in the bathroom in the New York subway.
Yeah.
They go into the bathroom and they can't find any of the Warriors because they're in the stall.
Yeah.
It reminded me of some of the shots in Assault.
Yeah.
When they look out the window to where all the cars are, where they saw all the gang members, and then they don't see the gang members. They keep like
all the cars are parked.
Yeah, and like, but the gang members are gone. But like, we know that they're there.
Yeah.
It gives them like a supernatural, kind of feel.
Yeah,
which kind of goes hand in hand with the whole zombie.
Yeah, like I feel like that's. I guess some people will be like, oh well, why don't they just storm the thing? It's like that's not the point. That's not the goal of the movie. Like that's not the point of the movie is to overwhelm these people. It's to watch them persevere and make it survive. He does really good characters that you want to see live. You know what I mean? And
the way he sets up the characters in this movie, I think, are really great because you have it's basically a sheriff or like a police officer teaming up with prisoners.
Yeah,
and immediately like
two prisoners and like two like secretaries basically, and like the dispatcher, like the two like ladies who work there. Because the dudes just leave, like you deal with it.
They're just like it's not my.
But it's like the secretary and the dispatcher, like the female dispatcher, left there, and like the two prisoners, and.
But the idea of like the ragtag team coming, like the Suicide Squad, like just like a bunch of like weirdos who shouldn't work together, and immediately putting a prisoner with some kind of like law enforcement person having to like fight for their lives together is always a great.
Yeah.
is always a great idea.
Because Napoleon did some bad things apparently.
No, Napoleon was a bad dude.
But
I trust Napoleon with my life.
yeah, but he was cool.
I
He had the best lines, obviously.
Yes, the lines in this movie. So I think I had heard that it was based off Rio Bravo once, but then it left my mind. It wasn't until you brought it back up that this is what it was about. But I kept wondering. I was like, why is this one guy's lines so weird? Like it felt not knowing what it was based off, it felt so out of place. Because he would have these like weird lines that you want to hear like that whoosh, like cowboy noise in the background. And then when you said it was based off Rio Bravo, I was like, "Oh my god, that makes so much sense! Like these are cowboys. This isn't a cop and a criminal. These are cowboys just
basically.
fighting for protecting the Alamo."
Yeah, yeah. And like Napoleon has all like the crazy lines that when you hear them, they make you laugh, but they're so cool as well at the same time.
He's got a badass factor to him.
Yeah,
He's got a real badass factor.
yeah. Because was it when the one prison guard is explaining rules to him? He's like, "Did you get all that?" He's like, "Yeah, you mumbled a little, but I get the general idea." He's like, "I don't sit in chairs too good either." It's like it was just like every line was like, "What the fuck, man?"
No, every other word he said was pure gold. The suspense in the movie was pretty good. Like towards the end when they start to come up with a plan of how to escape, and they realize that there's this little grate that leads to the sewer that they can then go out of a manhole to get a car. Even those moments for a film that isn't filmed in 1976, and I don't know why I keep harking on 70s movies so much. There's something good and bad about them at the same time that I'm kind of infatuated with.
You hate to be the person who's like, it used to be better back in the day, because they make good movies now too.
Yeah,
but it's always just like sometimes you're like, damn, that's nobody makes them like this anymore.
Yeah, but there's also like a cheesiness to them.
Yeah,
that you sort of you kind of feel it in the moment, but like we were like before we started recording, I was saying I'm glad we waited like a week to like record because I let the movie sit with me, and those moments that felt cheesy are moments that I now reflect on. They worked.
Yeah.
So like when they're trying to like go out of the manhole to get the car, like I was very nervous for that character. Yeah. And that's in between people acting like they got shot in the gut with no blood, and that's in between Napoleon giving us these crazy cowboy one-liners that I was still in that zone of being absolutely terrified for these guys, wanting them to escape.
Constantly asking for cigarettes.
Yeah, you got a cigarette. You got a cigarette on you.
Well, I think it's unironic. That's why I always like in writing. I hate when I read somebody's stuff, and it's so like kind of very kind of self-referential and kind of like it's like trying to like take the piss out of it before you take the piss out of it instead of just being honest.
Right.
And writing something, even if it's cheesy or not, as long as it's honest and like unironic and just kind of like makes sense.
Gotcha. And like
genuine and just like no matter if somebody thinks it's cheesy or not, that's how you feel and that's how the characters feel. So it's like
yes,
writing those types of things. It's like a lot of people don't do that because they're think somebody's gonna laugh at it or think it's cheesy and stuff like that.
You could feel that even though it felt cheesy, John Carpenter just did not.
It plays it straight.
Yeah, he did not give a shit.
Yeah, like you play it straight as a Western, and he's making a Western.
And it's a very interesting combination, like a Western in the 70s that's not in the West.
No.
that's in the city, played absolutely straight.
Yeah,
it just works.
Yeah. And it also has just like it's very progressive because it's got this black sheriff, these two female characters, and there's like the other black prisoner, and there's this random white dude. Like the random white dude is like the minority in this movie.
He just needs a cigarette.
Yeah, he just needs a cigarette. But you watch it and like there's nothing really. You're just watching this group of people just. You know what I mean?
How does this compare? Have you seen Rio Bravo?
I have.
Because I've not seen that. Is it?
It's good. I mean, it's good. It's good.
Okay.
It's been a while since I've watched it. I used to watch it when I was up late with my kids, when the first kid was born, like 2 or 3.
Okay.
I'd put it on because Mickey Nelson's in it, and he's a singer, and he has a song in the middle of it. He performs this song in the middle of Rio Bravo, and like the kid, every time we play it, like my son Emmett would just like stop and watch.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
So yeah.
Well, from watching the Turner Classic Movie interview, he must have really loved that movie to have remade it 2 additional times.
Yes.
on top of that,
He just kept replacing the Ricky Nelson character with like Dean Martin, I think, and then like James Caan or Robert Mitchum or something.
oh my God, Robert Mitchum.
I think.
Oh, if it's
People who know these movies better than I do will come at you, but I don't know those movies very well, so if they need to be corrected, let me know.
How did it hold up on the last watch? Now that you've seen it a few times, was there anything that you noticed?
Assault?
Yeah.
I paid more attention to the plot.
Okay.
I always forget about like what and why, and like how everything comes together. Like I paid more attention to that, and it really holds up.
Yeah.
I don't know, like I was saying before, like his characters, the build up, like the first half of the movies are just as good as the action stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know if Carpenter gets credit for that type of stuff, because I was rewatching like They Live, and like that's forever before anything really happens. And you're just watching Roddy Piper, like, you know, just walk around and like get food and try to get jobs and stuff. And with the music and stuff, it's really well done. Like
That's a great point.
He's like at the beginning, in the Halloween, same way. The girls are like fantastic characters up until they start. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Up until like all the killing happens. Just watching them like talk to each other and like hang out and stuff is like it's great. The banter's great. They're like you like them. They're
That's a
clever.
smart
They're
move.
funny. You know what I mean?
It's almost like he spends the first 25-30 minutes just humanizing
Yeah.
the characters.
Which is what happens in most movies, but like horror movies usually do it really badly.
Horror movies, they just want to rush into it.
Yeah.
They want to scare the hell out of you.
Or you'll have 20 minutes of really shitty build up that you don't care about.
Yeah.
Because like that's how I usually watch a lot of horror movies. I'm always like, the first 20 minutes, I'm always thinking back like, do I like if I rewatch this? Am I rewatching it for the first 20 minutes, or
That's a great.
Or if I'm
test.
rewatching it just because the ending is cool? Like why am I watching it? Because if the first 20 minutes is not good, but like the rest of it's cool, that's fine. But then like,
Yeah, it's interesting that you brought up They Live, because I saw that for the first time last year at the Aero Theater, and yeah, like the first 20 minutes is just is him going to the construction site,
yeah,
trying to find a place to sleep, trying to get a meal.
hang out with Keith David. I mean, just
Yeah, it's just 20
talking
minutes.
politics, which like, if you think of Carpenter, I always think of Carpenter like rewatching some of these movies. It's like he's really has like almost like a anarchist or a punk rock aesthetic, because he's like well, I'm not against the government, but I think he thinks everything sucks.
Right.
He's like everything's fucked up, and he's not like picking sides. He's just like kind of like follows the people kind of in the middle,
The people who will
like
have to
who don't give a shit, but everything is affecting them.
Yes.
Type of thing. Like Roddy Piper is like, he could give a shit about politics. Keith David same way, but they just want to work, and it's all like the rich people and these people. It's like everything's just like fucking them over.
That is a really
Same with Assault, kind of like the guy goes in and it's just like, I just want to do my job. And then with the prisoner, he's like,
it's his first day.
it's like everything's fucked up, and they just know it. Like the prisoner is the one who knows the world's a shitty place. You know what I mean?
I think with this episode,
Same with Kurt Russell in The Thing. He's just like, it's just the character's like, I don't like like everything is fucked up. I'm just trying to survive, even though this world sucks. I'm just trying to survive.
Trevor, I think you just single-handedly changed the way I'm going to watch horror movies now. Like, I seriously, because like those, when you talk about John Carpenter, I mean, there's not a lot of directors that come close,
No.
and that's like his through line.
Yeah.
Is these first 20 minutes, I'm just going to let you know who this person is, how they go about their day, and by just following them,
Yeah. And
you
making
humanize them.
and creating like interesting characters, like an interesting dialogue, not just like shitty whatever. Yeah, it's like you're basically like, oh, these people are shitty. Like, who wants to watch that for 20 minutes?
No one wants to watch that for 20 minutes. But like it also enables you as the viewer to relate.
Yeah.
So that when everything goes bad, so when the gang members are, trying to take over, your police station, or when you find out that there's greater forces trying to stop you from telling the world that there's aliens taking over.
Yeah, exactly.
Or you're trying to let everyone know that there's an alien trying to come inside your body.
Yes, exactly.
I should phrase that differently.
Or I think Snake Plissken is the closest thing to like John Carpenter's like aesthetic as well, and like thoughts and point of view. Because Snake Plissken, like the end, it's like I don't fucking care. Like everything needs to be turned off and reset, type of thing.
I'm gonna watch.
Not to spoil it, but Snake Plissken is like John Carpenter, I think, to a T, probably.
I need to. Well, that's on the list.
Yes.
To watch that. I did play Metal Gear, which they based, Solid Snake.
Yeah.
Maybe that's close. That's close
helps.
enough. But no, I'm gonna be watching the first 20 minutes because I mean,
again, first 20 minutes is just like
everyone always thinks about.
When I think about it too, I was like, I like that first 20 minutes.
Everyone always talks about how does it like the ending. Is the ending good?
Yeah.
Nobody talks about the fucking intro. The first 20 minutes.
But if you got like the first 20 too.
Wow.
Because you're gonna rewatch it, like you have to still get through like. That's what I always hate about when people talk about TV shows. It's like, oh, after the first 5, they're pretty good. I'm like, that's a lot of time to get to the good stuff.
Yeah.
It's 5 hours of
television
show. It shows I gotta watch before it gets good.
They're always like, don't watch it. That's the unfortunate thing is like that, and that's what like I don't know if you watched the Oscars. Did you catch any of the Oscars?
Bits and pieces.
Did you see Jimmy Kimmel talking about the difference between film and television? And
I don't think so. No.
The problem with television is like movies, you got like that one shot.
Yeah.
So, television though, like I've told like I want to watch The Sopranos, and I've been told like skip season 1, just go into season 2 because that they're trying to figure out what they are.
Yeah.
And
how do you skip season 1 though?
Exactly. I'm like that's a lot.
That?
Like Parks and Recreation.
Yeah.
You don't watch season 1. They don't know what the hell that show was. Season 2, they got it. They're
same with The Office though too.
Same with The Office.
I've seen all of The Office, and I've seen them all though.
Mm-hmm.
But when I usually go back to rewatch, I usually start around season 2.
Yeah. It's weird, but movies.
Steve Carell's hair gets a little nicer.
Oh yeah,
he gets his plugs in. He looks a little fitter. He like knows what's up.
40-Year Virgin came out. He got some. He got some of that. He got some of that movie money.
That's right. Exactly.
So yeah, it's that honestly has changed how I'm gonna watch movies. Because now I'm just thinking about like just to go back to the Warriors.
Yeah.
The Warriors begins with every gang in New York coming to watch Cyrus talk. To convince everyone that they should be one big gang and they can rule, and it's a great intro.
That's more like the first 10 minutes of that one. Like
Still,
that one's more just still down to 10 minutes, but that first 10 minutes, I just hang out. Like,
still, it has you like right from the get. You're getting introduced to all these gangs, which a lot of them are just the costume department throwing whatever they had. Like, all right, this gang's a bunch of pimps. This gang, they got rollerblades. This gang, they got the baseball furies.
The orphans. Orphans didn't even get to.
They're not even on our radar.
Poor orphans.
But no, I think that's a really interesting. I don't know, just really interesting thing to think about when watching like all the other movies. Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess for the rest of the time now is like, are those first 20 minutes worth it?
When I have to like when I like in a writers group or like reading somebody else's stuff too, my biggest complaints are usually the first 20 pages. It's always just like you need to make these characters like people. And you can set up your plot too, but it's like you need to make these characters like interesting right off the bat. And set the
tone.
Yeah, set the tone.
Like the other thing that just came to my mind. I'm now like running through like what my like Brandon Fraser just won. Mm-hmm. Everyone loves him from The Mummy. The Mummy begins with them in ancient Egypt. Yeah,
it's a good start.
Yeah,
I always tell them it's like even bad movies have good starts.
Yeah.
What was the one I threw on randomly? What the fuck was it? I don't know. But it was something like it was Ishtar. I've never seen Ishtar.
What's that? What's Ishtar?
It's like Dustin Hoffman and Warren Beatty. It's like this big flop. Supposedly big flop, but everybody kind of like likes it now and this and that.
Okay.
But back in the day, there was always Ishtar jokes and this and that.
It's a good title.
But if I threw it on one night when I was like coming up with this, like I kept saying to some writers, it was like you need like your first 10 minutes, 20 minutes. Like your opening has to be good, it has to be catchy, and it just has to be like. And Ishtar has a good opening. So it's like even Ishtar, like a shitty movie, supposedly has a great opening. Like you gotta get that opening, like solid. Get it right. You gotta get.
The other one that came to my mind was Sleepy Hollow. Like
Sleepy Hollow's a good one, yeah.
They got that guy running around. Yeah, and then all of a sudden, his head gets lopped off.
Yeah.
Like it tells you like what this Hessian is,
and then when you see
about.
Johnny Depp, what's he doing in the first scene?
It's the court.
Yeah,
with Christopher Lee.
Yeah, see, like he's like there's a scene.
I think he's investigating a body, and then he goes to the court,
That's right.
and then he goes, "You're going to a town, Sleepy Hollow," and you're like, "Yeah, baby, we're going there. We're going there." But wow, I never thought about Carpenter's first 20 minutes. It makes sense when you say it. It sounds almost silly to say it out loud now,
first 10 minutes or first whatever you want to say.
But I've never like thought about it and like discussed it before.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm seeing this director in a whole new light for this. This is a good episode.
Because what else? What else? You can think of other ones. We talked about Vampires. Vampires is a pretty good opening as well.
Vampires is a great. I wish
the first 10 minutes of that is like just the crew.
The first 10 minutes is the best part of Vampire.
Yeah.
The first 10 minutes is what you wish the rest of the movie was about. These guys going door to door, hunting vampires.
And then they all get killed within 5 minutes.
Yeah, they go to that motel party. Yeah.
It's all downhill with James Woods making fucking homophobic jokes of vampires.
It was funny. If Napoleon, every other line in Assault from Precinct 13 is "You got a cigarette."
Yeah.
James Woods' line, every other line of Vampires is something about you sitting on his pole.
Oh yeah.
Yes. It's like, okay, icky James Woods. But you said something interesting too that I wanted to bring up was because I never really think about it, and it's another thing that sounds silly to say out loud, but I just never have discussed it with anyone, was how political John Carpenter is. Because whenever you think of there's two types of people. Like when we had the old Facebook page, anytime you brought up horror and politics, people were like, "Get horror out of politics," and I'm like, you fucking mouth breathers. It's always been political.
Always political.
It's always from day one. Horror's always been political. But whenever you think of political horror, I think one of the first directors that comes to mind is George Romero.
Yes,
because he doesn't shy away from it, and it's pretty on the nose, and he knows, and he runs with it, and he doesn't care, and that's what makes it great through all.
It's unironic too. Like he's doing it like it's his being, and that's how all of his movies are like that. It's like
and it's an authentic take of how he's seeing the world and everything around him. But I never really thought about Carpenter as a political person. It makes a lot of sense, especially in They Live. But it makes a lot of sense in Assault Precinct 13 as well. Yeah, I never really thought about that.
I don't think he would say he was political, but I think it's a certain political leaning or ideology that it's political but not political, but it's still saying something. It's still angry about politics. He's so angry that the world is like this. The government might suck. People suck. It's like one of those things. Like it's not just the government. It's everybody.
Yeah, there's a lot of suckage in the world.
Yeah, it's like you just kind of have to make your way through it.
Damn. All right.
And I think the way when you hear his interviews, you can kind of see that the way he is. It's like, well, whatever. It's like he smokes weed and plays video games all day.
Yeah, that's all he's got. That's all he got to know.
But he probably still hates the same things,
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad we checked Assault on Precinct 13 off the list. Because honestly, I feel really good after I watch these movies. I'm like, fuck yeah, I feel accomplished.
Yeah.
And
it inspires you.
Yeah.
When you see this movie, you're like, fuck yeah, this is.
Because
it's almost like it's doable. I could do this.
We could buy a was it sugar glass and throw someone out a window?
Yeah, exactly.
What's that gotta cost us nowadays? Yeah. If it really, John Carpenter is got to be one of the more inspiring directors, because when you watch it, you feel like you can go out and do it. Yeah. He makes it look almost too easy sometimes.
I think sometimes the budget restraints that he gets is in his favor usually.
Interesting.
So when he gets more money, sometimes I think it gets a little lost. But once he gets restrained, which is I think all the time, sometimes his creative juices kick in. Sometimes bring up some really good stuff.
There's a who was it? Alex and I were just talking about this, about how they give directors too much money. So you'll I think it was in relation to Colin Trevorrow. So he did that one. What was his first indie film? The one about Safety Not Guaranteed.
Yes.
Safety Not Guaranteed, low budget movie, and then it was Jurassic World, and you're like, huh? Exactly. Why did you go for that? And I don't know if it was Spielberg or someone was talking about how directors or James Cameron talking about how like directors used to work their way up.
Yeah.
You do, $15,000 film out of nothing, and all of a sudden you got your $600,000, and you get your first million. 15, 30 million. Then you get your 30 million feels like the standard bold action, like why the theatrical is, and then you go out there.
Now it's just like you do an indie movie, and then you do a Marvel movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I don't know how that happens.
Exactly, but they're not any good.
No,
they're not any good.
No,
and but I could see how the constraint would work in favor for Carpenter, and honestly, I think it would work in favor for a lot of directors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
honestly.
I was like, I can't get any money, but all I ask is a little bit of money because I don't need a lot of money because like I like the challenge of having to do something with no money.
And you got it.
Yeah,
like the product was made. Like there is a feature film. Under that belt.
And that was kind of like the challenge. That was like the goal, and that was like the purpose. It's like, well, I don't have any money, but I'm gonna figure out how to make this movie without any money. And a lot of people was like, how are you gonna do this? Like a lot of people on set or actors was like, how are you gonna do that? How are you gonna pay for that? I was like, I don't know, but
you're here.
But it's like we're just gonna keep going until that day happens. And
but I feel like that sounds like every director's story. Is like
it should be, but a lot of people are too scared to take that leap.
Yeah, I saw. I think it was Ryan Johnson talking about how he didn't start making movies until he like felt comfortable, like he was making enough to live, because he's I don't know what the reasoning was, but I could just imagine him seeing a bunch of his friends trying to make movies while they're like, struggling, and then it just goes out. But if you got like a little comfort, something to fall back on, like it's gonna be okay. And I think it puts you in a better place to when you're making something like that too, like that everything's not like on the line for it. Oh man, I love talking about movies. This shit's so fun, dude. Oh, so I had one thing I wanted to bring up. Yeah. Because I've been going to seeing a lot of stuff. I've really ramped up seeing movies on 35 millimeter because we're a Los Angeles based podcast, so we have just a wealth of theaters showing movies on film. And I'm not like a film snob. Like one of the films I saw over the weekend was digital, and it was fine. It wasn't, but it still had the theater experience, and it was De Palma's Blowout. But I've been seeing a lot more movies on 35 millimeter, and LA's a weird place to see movies with, because people like, it's not like in the Midwest where like they show Wizard of Oz at your local multiplex or whatever like that. And people are like, oh no, like when people go to see a movie in LA, like they're gonna go see a movie in LA.
Yes,
like they're very serious about it. And especially in the New Beverly, which is probably my favorite of all of them, because they have like a no cell phone policy, no talking, but like they're very like to them it's like almost like a place of worship. Like it's weird.
I always tell the story I always tell the story about going to see the Bill and Ted double feature, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure and Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, and somebody getting thrown out of Bogus Journey for talking, and they were flipping out. But I was like, see, you can't make jokes at Bogus Journey.
No,
you can't do it here.
No,
it's a funny movie, but you can't.
No one wants to hear it.
You don't fuck with it. No
one wants to hear it.
Right.
And so I was thinking today about like what all movies we've seen. Because after because it's weird, I think today was like the day, like the 3-year anniversary of like when like shit started getting shut down from COVID. So it was like really weird to think about. And since then, once everything started opening back up, we started going and seeing more movies and stuff like that. And I was going through all the films I've seen, and I wanted to ask you, has there ever been a movie that you've seen that took a minute to marinate, and then it flips for you that you loved the movie? Like you leave the theater and you're like, oh, like you leave the theater enjoying it, had a great time, but then like a month or two later, something triggers you and it hits you, and you're like, oh my god, I love this movie. And I'll give you an example why you think of your answer. So we went and saw Spartacus at the New Bev. They had a one night only showing, sold out. I had asked our friend Jenny if she wanted to go see it. She was like, yes. And it was funny, before the movie started, she was like, is this a movie you've always wanted to see? And I was like, no, it's a movie like I knew I should see. And I didn't even know it was directed by Stanley Kubrick until like after I bought the tickets and stuff. And They did the whole meat and potatoes. You know, they did the
Yeah.
overture in the beginning. You know, where they play music for like 10 minutes before the fucking film starts, and then they did the 10-minute intermission. Then they did the overture again, and then finish up the movie. So it's like over a 3-hour experience. And I really liked the movie.
Yeah.
I love Kirk Douglas. He's in one of my favorite movies of all time, Ace in the Hole from Billy Wilder. It's so weird watching his movies because all I see is Michael Douglas because they sound like. And I think we both really enjoyed the movie.
Yeah.
And today I put on some movie scores because it was a nice rainy day today here in LA, and it's just like, bro, I love it. And the love theme from Spartacus played, and it is a beautiful piece. I mean, that is like 67, like when they had like the full orchestras and shit, dude. Like it is a beautiful piece of music. And they played the first few notes like da na na and then the da na na, and I got like chills. And it hit me like that experience of watching it in a packed theater on film. That it resonated more than what I thought. And I didn't know it until that song played, until those 4 notes played. My whole body went, you didn't even realize in the moment how much you enjoyed that movie. And I was like, whoa, like that's only ever happened to me one other time in my life. And I wanted to know if that's ever happened to you, where you saw a movie and months later you were like, oh shit, I think I really loved it.
Oh God, I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't really. It's usually the opposite. It's usually like, this was great, and then as you think about it, you're like, oh. No.
Also, you go. So while I'm going up, you're
good. I can think of more moments where I was like, that was fun. And I was like, wait, that was just fucking loud, wasn't it?
Interesting. Well, for the people listening, I would love to know. Follow us on Instagram at Halloweekly, and we're still on Twitter while it's around before it gets blown up. We're on there on Letterboxd too. I loaded up the other day, and I'm starting to build the habit of
you need to get on there.
When you were talking about the cinematic void. You could tell who was at that marathon because they were just reviewing all the movies they were showing.
I can look at the New Bev schedule, and usually, like some of the people I follow, you can tell that they're always going to the New Beverly.
That's hilarious.
Or like any of the movies around here. It's always like, oh, I went to go see that. Oh, these 5 people did.
I need to get on there. Actually, I'll give you the login for Halloweekly.
Okay, I'll just
do it. We can both start to. We'll be like an old couple who shares a Facebook account. Yeah. You ever see those people?
Yes.
It's like Tom and Shirley's Facebook.
Like, they always have to sign up for each person.
Yeah, they do. It's such a boom. We'll be boomers on Letterboxd. But yeah, the only other time that happened to me was, and this it ties in with the rain. Whenever it rains here, I always say this, and Alex is always like, it's not every time, but whenever it rains here, I think we've done it like maybe 3 or 4 times. We've put on My Neighbor Totoro because it's like the perfect rainy day film.
Have you seen on HBO Max? Have you seen the screensaver?
Yep. Where it's just the sounds from the studio.
And it's like the nature shots.
It is so relaxing.
It's amazing. I played it the other day.
It's wonderful.
And I was like, I've never seen any of those movies either. I don't watch any of the Miyazaki stuff. I haven't seen any of it.
Whoa, you haven't?
But I just put that on, and like me and the kids were just like doing a puzzle, and like
they have one at the New Bev next month. It's the one that Michael Keaton voiced the pig. I don't know anything about it. I think it's got a couple titles, Rocco Poco or something like that. But it's also known as like the Red Pig, or it's got a couple of names. But Michael Keaton plays a pig in like a warplane shooting down stuff, and he has the only thing I know is from their trailer where he says, "I'd rather be a pig than a fascist." And I'm like,
I saw that.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah, that looks like my kind of, and it's Michael fucking Keaton, so I'm like, I'm on board. But the only other time I ever like realized I love a movie is when I was at Wright State and I had to write a paper on Spirited Away, and like I hated anime. Like there's 2 things I always hated: musical theater and anime. And I'm now it's the opposite. Like I'm listening to. I didn't know they had a sequel to the Phantom of the Opera called Love Never Dies. There's a song on there called "Till I Hear You Sing Again."
Really? Nice,
dude. It is a great song. And I've lightened up on it. I've seen a lot more anime feature films with Alex because she's a big weeb. She loves all that anime stuff, and so now I've learned and I think the Miyazaki stuff is like a different ballpark.
I think I've been waiting now for my son to get old enough so I can watch it with him.
Okay.
I'm hoping he can get into it, and I was almost last week with like the screen saving stuff. I was kind of like trying to like
I think
gauge his his interests.
I think you could start with Totoro, and that's a pretty good one. But I was writing a paper on Spirit Away about how I didn't like it, and then as I was, I'm not joking, I was writing about how I didn't like it, and then as my brain thought about it, midway through the paper, I was like, oh, shoot, I think I really like this movie. So for the listeners, I'm curious if this is just a weird thing that happens to me, or if this is a phenomenon that's happening to anyone else. So for the listeners, let us know on our Instagram, Letterboxd, wherever you follow us. 5-star review on iTunes. 5-star review on iTunes. If this has ever happened, and what movie it happened to. It doesn't have to be horror; it could be anything. I'm just curious for like the movie going experience, if that's ever happened to you. I think it's a weird thing, because I'm telling you, those 4 notes played from Spartacus, and my whole body went, "Hey, remember that film you fell head over heels with?" And I was like, "What?" I remember like kind of liking it, but then I was like, the experience of it in that theater with the New Bev, and the New Bev. I talked to you about this. Do you ever feel like you time travel in that theater?
Yes.
It's okay.
You definitely do.
It's a weird thing. So because
you come out, you're like, oh shit,
it's
2023.
It's weird because the movies, the stuff that they play, they are so great. Like I don't throw as many soirees as I'd like to, but when I do, I'm great at it because I know the right candles to light to get the air smelling right. I know the right music to play. Yes. I know how loud to play it, enough just to fill the room.
Yeah.
I know what kind of drinks to serve. I know how to set up the vibe. The New Bev does what I like to do cinematically.
Yeah.
So they show you trailers from that time or from that director. They show you cartoons that are relate to the thing, and it's even sometimes commercials like from the era. And it genuinely feels like you're in a different decade. Like I felt like I was in the 60s watching Spartacus. I felt like I was in the 80s watching the Monster Squad.
Yes.
And it's just something that happens, and like it just sucks you into the movie. It's really weird.
Yeah.
We need to have those cats on. Whoever programs the New Bev. That'd be great.
Yeah.
I would talk their ears off. That's why when I have Cinematic Void on, I'm like, listen, how do you decide what's in a horror movie marathon?
How do you get this going?
All right. Well, I had to ask that because I feel the same thing happening with Assault on.
I mean, I don't go to the theaters as often as I do anymore.
Well, we're changing that now.
But then, like, while we were talking, I was like, well, last thing, like, Nope. I think Nope kind of like sits with me really. I think about Nope a lot. I liked watching Nope the first time. I was like, yeah, this is great. And I kind of always think about it constantly.
Interesting.
Just because it looks fantastic and it's like the characters. It's like, yeah, just like there's just a vibe to that one. It's like, yeah, Nope.
And the cinematographer came up with a new way to shoot day for night. That looks
That's
like
crazy.
actual. That looks like actual nighttime.
It's crazy.
And the fact that he did not get nominated, I think that's actually the biggest.
The Nope snub is a crime.
I agree with that 100%. If you invent a way to shoot a movie differently that serves the story, because Day for Night always looks bad. It looked bad in Mad Max Fury Road. It looks bad everywhere.
Well, they just. Who knows what that original footage looked like? Like it's just like who knows?
Yeah, and they did something weird by like shooting it on film, and there's a whole process. I mean, the guy looks like he would either come up with a new way to shoot Day for Night or a new bomb. Yeah. like, and you don't know which one. Luckily, it was the new filming technique. But I think
there's a sliding doors moment there somewhere where he was like.
Exactly. Could have went either way.
He was picking a class for college, but science and film, and he went to the film class instead of the science one.
On accident. Yeah. And then he was like, "Oh, I think I kind of."
The science was filled up, but the film wasn't.
I think I kind of like this. All right. Well, let us know if you've ever had that experience. I think it's a very interesting one. Let us know if you also have watched Assault on Precinct 13. And if you like it, where does it stack for you in the Carpenter rankings? That's something I still got to think about. I still think The Thing and Halloween's up there. I don't know. I think
he's got like a stacked top 5. I mean, even top 7 or 8.
Ooh, that'd be a fun one to dive.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I've ranked them on Letterboxd, but when you look at it, it's like, oh man, like when you watch Prince of Darkness, it always gets inched up.
Interesting.
So that's one of those ones when I saw it first, I didn't get it. But the more I've watched it, the more I'm like, yeah, this fucking, as the kids say, slaps. It fucks.
It slaps.
As the kids say.
Well, what would also slap is a nice 5-star review on iTunes.
Nice
so
too.
make sure you youngsters, you gifted, talented youngsters at the Xavier Academy, give us 5 stars.
I gotta go to bed now. It's like 8 o'clock.
It's 8 o'clock. We gotta get out of here. So until next time, stay scary. Watch a bunch of horror movies. We'll see you next time. Bye bye.
May I have your attention, please?
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
don't know what's real anymore.
Horror. Something even more terrible than you.